song. You know, if you ask me, now is probably a great time to be a Teen Titans fan. We recently got Teen Titans Go to the Movies. We're getting the of questionable quality Titans live action series later this year. And if you're not in either of those, we got Young Justice Season 3. And I know it's not Titans, but come on, it's basically Titans. However, the biggest piece of news comes from the ending credits scene of the Teen Titans Go movie, where this happens.
Hurry! There is not much time! They need to know we're still here.
Booyah! We're transmitting! This is the Teen Titans. Can anyone hear us? We think we found a way back.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The 2003 Teen Titans cartoon, beloved by many and often held in high regard, is getting a revival, a 6th season, and I gotta tell you, I could not care less. Well, I cared enough to make this video, but you get the point. A lot of my real life friends like to tell me that I'm a contrarian, that I only hate things because everyone else likes them. And while that is partially true, this is exactly how I feel about Teen Titans. I feel like I'm the only person with this opinion, but I feel like the 2003 cartoon is way overrated and overblown. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate the series, but rather the excessive credit that people give it when it was really just average at best. There were good elements to the show, like the character dynamics were fun, the action scenes were great. The animation has aged surprisingly well for an early 2000s cartoon, and by God, that theme song. When there's trouble, you know who to call. Teen Titans. Obviously, if you know me and if you've been on this channel for any period of time, you know that my biggest gripe with this revival is the blatant nostalgia pandering. All the people I've seen going nuts over this show are all like 20-somethings that were like the prime age for this show when it came out. Like we're talking like 8 to 15, somewhere in that age bracket. I don't know, the math's probably off there. But my point is, every person online, every reviewer, every commenter, apparently everyone and their mother has grown up watching this series for some reason. For me personally, I was like 3 years old when the show came out, so I was kind of getting into TV around like the tail end of it, so I only really remember like bits and pieces from like Trouble in Tokyo. My point being, when I watched the series about a year ago to see what all the hype was about, I was going in without these rose-colored glasses. And I gotta tell you, and I'm not gonna lie, I rather enjoyed the show. It was pretty good, I thought it was well made, but it was nothing to really harp on about. I can't help but think of like Shaolin Showdown as like a comparison, and how it had like a similar type of character dynamic, and like it was also an action show, and was out during the same exact time frame as Teen Titans, but is rarely ever talked about outside of the attempted reboot in Shaolin Chronicles. Inferior reboots. We got Shaolin Chronicles and Teen Titans Go, except Teen Titans Go is actually better than the original. That's right, I said it. Square up. See, I like to think of the cartoons that I loved growing up watching as a kid. You know, like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends or Avatar. And how if I watched those series today, I would probably nitpick the absolute heck out of them. Like Avatar, let's talk about that. I just did a whole month of Avatar videos, and I had to rewatch the series to make those videos, obviously, to refresh my memory. But when I rewatched the show, all I was doing was nitpicking every little detail because I had seen the show 100 times over at that point. Again, my point being, I have literally seen nobody do the same thing with Teen Titans. Like I said, I liked the show, I enjoyed it, I thought it was pretty good, but I have never, and I mean never, seen anybody say anything negative about this show. Let me ask you, how many reviewers do you think actually like rewatched the show and looked at it critically like as an adult? I'm willing to bet not very many. In fact, I'm willing to bet that a decent chunk of the positive reviews of this show are all from people who were just reviewing it based off of what they remember as kids, which is a horrible way to review things. Apparently everybody reviewing this show has some sort of pre-existing attachment to it, meaning that a lot of them are simply just blind to the negatives and are saying things that simply aren't true. That's why today, in this video, I'm going to be going through a lot of the common arguments I see for why Teen Titans is such a great show, and why it makes absolutely zero sense, and why it's like a complete non-argument. I'll call it, why Teen Titans is not as good as you remember it. One common thing that I see a lot of people praise Teen Titans for is that it has an ongoing story, an overarching plot, if you will. And while it does have one, it leaves much to be desired, at least in the first few seasons. Like, the plot is there, but it's like sprinkled throughout and is functional, but people talk about it like every single episode is like a must-watch that adds more and more to the story each time, when in reality, like, half the episodes are like basically filler. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with filler as long as it's like fun or interesting, but a lot of the time I could not bring myself to care about the filler episodes in this show when they teased like growing plot lines in the previous episode. In fact, this is a similar problem I had with like Gravity Falls, where they would like tease like big changes, like a big plot point that's gonna change everything, and then the next episode they do it, and then the episode after that they like, it's like 3 or 4 episodes of filler before they actually do anything. I had the same problem with that show. So don't get it twisted. This ain't just pure on hate. This is an actual gripe that I have with other shows. I think season 3 of Teen Titans was the worst offender in this because there were only like 4 episodes out of the 13 that like, you know, actually were relevant to the overall plot, and the rest is just like filler. There are 6 episodes between the first episode of season 3 and then the next episode that like is about the plot, and then in between that it's 6 episodes of filler. This argument is just flawed, because you think about it, if the plot is so important, it's such a big selling point of the show, then why did I just waste 2 hours of my life watching stuff that ultimately didn't matter? Personally, I think a show like Ben 10 Alien Force or Ultimate Alien did this much better, where even the filler episodes did things like introduce important characters in a fun and interesting way. Come to think of it, I probably can't really make that comparison because I'm pretty sure Dwayne McDuffie worked on both shows. May Bebo rest his soul. Argument number 2 that I see for why this series is so good is that it was deep and had meaning, which I guess is somewhat true in certain instances, but I'd have to say that said instances are few and far between. Like, there's the racism episode with Starfire that a lot of people seem to point to, and while I don't disagree with the sentiment here, it's not doing or saying anything revolutionary. Like, I think Static Shock, which, for the record, haven't seen the whole thing, did this concept much better in one episode. It's funny, in that same episode, where Starfire is being discriminated against, there's this scene where Cyborg is like, yes, I too have faced discrimination. If they wanted to be, like, deep, they could have just left it at that, but, no. Then they backed that up with, because I am a robot. What? You notice that I've been using the term deep with air quotes, and that's because its meaning has been so misconstrued in the past 5 to 10 years. Here's the deal. If something is quote-unquote deep, it makes you think about life in like a bigger way. It has multiple layers, if you will, like ogres or onions. You know what I'm saying? This episode of Teen Titans and Teen Titans in general, it's not deep. It's literally just saying what we already know. It's that racism is bad, and despite that, racism will still exist. It's not deep. It's making a statement, which is something a lot of other superhero shows at this time were doing. So it's really not doing anything crazy special. People also like to praise this show for character development, and I don't blame them. It's one of the few positives about this show that I actually agree with that isn't completely overblown. But they then use this argument while talking about nostalgia they have for the show, and that doesn't add up. Like, you cannot talk about how you remember liking a show and then use things that were totally not going through your head at the time to back that up. Like, I guarantee you no 10-year-old watching Teen Titans cares about the character development, or that they even know what character development is. That's like me saying, oh, I liked Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends because of the subtle societal nuances that it had about society. No, I liked the show because it was colorful and I was a stupid 5-year-old who liked watching cartoons. No, you didn't like Teen Titans as a kid because it had character development and depth. You liked it because you liked seeing Robin and Starfire punch bad guys. Alright, that's what happened. And I guess while I'm here bashing Teen Titans, let me just say that the character development in the show is good, but it's not that good. It doesn't really shape the characters long term. Like, they have arcs for a season, but then the next season, they're back to normal, and then the past is only brought up when it's convenient. Like Terra, for example. Speaking of Terra, by far the thing that bothers me the most is this argument. Teen Titans needs another season because there are so many unresolved plot lines, and it was a cliffhanger. Yeah, let me answer that with, you're wrong. Stop it. This is an argument people make because they literally just want another season of Teen Titans, and I gotta tell you, the argument that things change as a cliffhanger is just absolutely nonsense. It's not a cliffhanger. The whole point of the final episode of the series was to tie up all the loose ends with Beast Boy and Terra, and it ends with Beast Boy getting closure for the whole Terra situation, and it ends ambiguously. That's a word that I think Teen Titans fans need to learn. Ambiguity. The same goes for like Red X. You know, Robin's alter ego turned actual villain of unknown identity. They purposefully left things ambiguous for Terra and Red X because the focus was on the characters, in the case of this episode, Beast Boy. The whole point of the episode is that Beast Boy needs to move on from Terra and join with his team. With Red X, Do you think it would be more fun if we knew his identity? No, that would be boring. It takes the whole fun out of it. It takes the mystery out of it, and it just ruins the whole Red X character. Both of these things are purposefully ambiguous. Funnily enough, I think the upcoming Season 6 probably won't be addressing Terra or Red X's identity. It's just not gonna happen. That would just defeat the purpose of leaving them ambiguous. Oh, and while I'm here ranting about conclusions, the show did get a conclusion. It's called Trouble in Tokyo the Movie. Trouble in Tokyo served as the Starfire character arc, and it addressed Starfire and Robin's feelings for each other. It just ultimately tied things up pretty nicely. How can people who are so focused on closure willfully omit this information? Oh yeah, because it doesn't help their argument that things were left unfinished, when in reality, I think things were tied together quite nicely in a nice little bow. I guess to close out this whole rant, I think it's kind of scummy and exploitative for people like Tara Strong and other people who worked on both the original and Teen Titans Go to be saying things like, if this movie does well, we'll bring back the original, because they know it's going to work and they don't have any obligation to follow up on that promise. It's a scummy business move, and it's not okay. Stop it. Alright, great. Now that I've lost all the fanboys, I also wanted to talk about the upcoming Titans TV show that we recently got a trailer for. I think people are purposely looking for negatives with this one. Don't get me wrong, the trailer was, no. But I'm still cautiously optimistic about the show because one, it has Jeff Johns writing on it, and two, trailers aren't always indicative of the final product. Like take a look at Justice League. The first trailer that was pretty good, at least I think so, and the movie, well, not so much. We don't really talk about that one. Oh, this show is too dark. This isn't the Titans I know. This is gonna suck. The characters' designs are so dumb. How did they mess this up with the budget? Oh. Most people see the Titans trailer and automatically think it's gonna suck because they're so focused on it being an adaptation of their Titans, you know, the 2003 version, but that's not what it is. Educate yourself before you make these bold statements. This is Titans, not Teen Titans. Two similar, yet very different teams. See, I don't have a problem with the show being dark. In fact, I welcome it. Historically in the comics, the Titans have always had darker storylines, and there are so many that the cartoon and the movies couldn't do because they were just restricted by their target demographic and like ratings. I mean, you got storylines like the Judas Contract, the Terror of Trigon, Church of Blood, that the cartoon and movies couldn't fully explore because of how dark the source material was. So I think it's great that the series is going to be dark. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And I guess to address the elephant in the room, I don't have a problem that they're allowed to swear. I don't care. I don't think it's them making an edgy statement, trying to be edgy. It's not them trying to be like adult. It's them trying to distance themselves from this notion that the Titans, teen or not, is for kids only, because it's not. So stop with this. Like I'll see images like this that are like the original Titans, and that's not the original Titans. Those may have been the original TV Titans, but no, they're not the original Teen Titans. Get over yourself. And I guess using this image to transition into the next section of this video, I think one of the biggest reasons people are like hesitant about this show is the character designs. Starfire in particular seems to be what most people have a problem with. I've seen the argument of, well, why do they make Starfire black? And to that I have to say, like, who cares? Like, if anything, I think it's better that we have a black actress playing Starfire. Like, take a look at Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. The actress who plays her is black in real life, and in the movie she's green. So I don't think race is an issue here. And to all the people harassing the actress online, I don't remember her name, but to the people harassing her, stop. You're degenerates. Please kill yourself. So I guess in terms of the other characters, let's start with those. I guess let's talk about those. I heard the black. I was watching a video by the Black Hokage, great YouTuber. You should check him out. He described Beast Boy as looking like the Grinch in a tracksuit, and I gotta say, that's pretty dead on. People like to point out the negative costumes. I don't think people like to talk about the positive ones. Take a look at the suits for like Robin and like Hawk and Dove, and they look pretty good. They look pretty slick. I think I could probably forgive Raven's design because as much as it looks like the costume department did like a 2-second Google search on goth chicks, I think it's pretty fitting for Raven. I'm pretty sure she's like 13 in the show. she's pretty young, so and I'm pretty sure we were all pretty cringy at that age. So I think if you look at it from like the standpoint of that, it's okay. The other argument I've seen that kind of ties in here are the effects. People see like set photos like these and assume that's how it's going to look in the show, but you have to take into account things like lighting, if there's going to be any other visual effects that go along with the characters, and other post-production stuff like filters and what have you. People like to compare it to Justice League that had very subpar visual effects, and that's being generous. You also have to remember that the same company doing one movie or show usually have different people from that same company doing different movies or shows. Like the production company behind the Flash's visual effects or the Justice League's visual effects may be the same company, but there are different people within that company, you know, independent of one another, working on the shows individually. Plus, I think that the budget is also decently important. We don't know the budget of Titans, but I think we can make a wild guess. I think using like the CW shows, which Greg Berlanti works on both those and Titans, so I think that's a good comparison. We can use like the Flash, like which for example gets a budget of around like $2 million an episode, has 23 episodes a season. Throughout the math, that's about $46 million per season. Compare that to a show like Titans that's only having like 9 episodes. And, you know, assuming that $50 million estimate, we're looking at around $5 or $6 million an episode, which I don't think is anything to scoff at. That is not too shabby. But then again, it's DC. What do you really expect? See, I am much less focused on what a show looks like, and I'm more focused on if the characters are well written and if the story is interesting. Take a look at a show like Legends of Tomorrow, my favorite superhero show. So I'm probably a little biased here, but they don't have that great of a budget, and they're still able to do great things through the character dynamics and the situation they find themselves in. See, a show, to me, I think a show can look super fake as long as like the story is good and the characters are well written. That's really all I care about in a show like this. Except in Justice League. Let's not talk about that. Heck, the Flash TV show did better than that in some of its worst looking episodes. Come on, what are you doing? All in all though, Teen Titans is more than just the 2003 cartoon or Robin using expletives. Just like every other property out there, the Titans and the Teen Titans are deserving of reboots and reimaginings, but should also be trying new things instead of rehashing the things we've already seen. Whatever, that's it. I'm done for today, and I'm sure the comments in this one are going to be fun. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Can we stop with this? Can we just not? I am one bad day away from tying that noose.